Good evening. Tonight is extra special because we are diving deep into the clinical years, the real battleground where we swap books for wards and lectures for late night calls. We're super lucky to have not one but two inspiring Year 5 seniors with us tonight, Haris and Shagan. They are here to share all the unfiltered truths, golden tips, funny ward moments, and if I knew these earlier, stories that we all wish we had. So grab your Milo, chill back, and let's get into this clinical adventure together.
Okay, let's go.
So first and foremost, could you two introduce yourself first to the audience?
Please.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for inviting me for this medic podcast. So my name is Shagan. I'm a 5th year medical student lah. Okay, so thank you for inviting me.
Okay, hi. If you guys don't know, my name is Haris. I'm a final year medical student as well. A little bit of introduction of myself. I'm initially from MD24 and moved to MD25. I completed my 4th year. Putting out there if you guys are curious in terms of the batch. So yeah, a little bit of background on my academic background in clinical years because we're focusing on that today. I passed my 3rd year, IM and surgical and all the minor posting. However, I failed my ONG and pediatrics during 4th year and had to repeat 4th year because of failed 2 posting. And now currently I'm 5th year with MB25 and I'm in group C, C, and currently in my internal medicine posting.
Okay, that's interesting. Right, so shall we start? Let's talk about clinical experiences and patients. Okay, Shagan, do you remember your very first patient? What was it like?
My very first patient.
Yeah.
Okay. To be honest, my first posting was I start during my year 3 lah. That's when our clinical year starts. So I started off with surgical posting lah. So surgery was something new for us, all of us, because the first time we are entering into clinical years. So the patient, the first day we went to the ward, there was, I remember because I took this patient as my case write-up also lah. That's why I remember him. He was a hyperthyroid patient lah. So whatever that you learn in your textbook before, Graves lah, for example, Graves, right? Every classic thing that he had, the goiter lah, the eye sign lah. So it was interesting for me because I remember him vividly because when I saw him immediately, we all knew that he had some thyroid issues. So because from transitioning from preclinicals to clinicals is exactly that moment when you see whatever that you studied in your books transformed into a patient, real life patient that going to Clark and then do physical examination and manage him further on lah. So that's why I remember him vividly, and I also remember him because I don't know why I had the confidence to take him as my first case write-up in my clinical years, because I thought, okay, this is interesting, someone with goiter and eye signs and everything, so why not just take it as a case write-up. But I ended up getting roasted by my doctor lah, because it was such a complicated case. I only knew that he had thyroid issue. I mean, I just plugged the simple stuff lah, whatever that you write in the books. And I even remembered when we even did physical examination on him, we had our Tally O'Connor book at the side, literally. So, I mean, even if at the 5th year level, if you're doing that, they'll just chase you out of the ward lah. But for your 3rd year, for your first day, I think it's still acceptable for you to just look at the books. But it's so awkward because the patient is there, you kejap tengok dulu baru we went and check the patient. So that was awkward with the patient, but then we learned a lot lah from the patient. But yeah, that was memorable for me lah, as my first patient.
Interesting.
So yeah, my patient, surprisingly enough, is quite similar to Shagan. There was a thyroid case in the ward as well during that time. I remember the very first day I entered 3rd year and my first posting was surgical. So during that time, I asked my buddy, my 5th year and 4th year and 3rd year, but previous 3rd year buddy, to go to the ward and brought me to the ward, and it feels like alien because clinical, you've never been to the ward, you've never been to the hospital. Nowadays that's more frequent compared to COVID era days, the ward was shut down completely. But the first time joining into the ward, I was scared. I can't even talk to patients. I was scared approaching patient itself. It feels like, who am I as a 3rd year coming into clinical and going up to someone and just asking them a random questions. But yeah, it was a thyroid case. During that time, my fifth year actually brought me to the patient, and I saw how they talk to the patient and how I admire them, how they talk so confidently with the patient, know what to ask, know what to look for, know what to see, what kind of signs is each sign, because you only seen in books. So it's hard for us, like as pre-clinical student going to clinical, to imagine that to see in real life, like feeling in real life, like what the margin of the liver is a bit different, and then like what is the span of the liver. All of that are not taught in books. It comes with experience and like seeing a lot of patients, and it comes with time really. So yeah, my first time I was nervous. I remember like my senior at that time, Adib, he was a very religious person, and we had to dua for the patient all together at the end of the examination, and being really respectful, being very empathetic to the patients. And yeah, it taught me a lot. Even though like it's my first experience with a patient, I feel like it was a good example to put as seniors. Yeah, as fifth years. So yeah, that was my experience. Yeah.
But it seems like that two scenarios like taught you all so many information. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what one moment in your ward that made you go like, I really choose the right career? What do you think?
You mean like what made me feel like I chose the right career?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Like, I mean, given that you've seen like in the hospital, like,
okay.
but depends on you.
Maybe there's not like one specific moment that I would say that okay, now I really choose the right career, that kind of stuff. It's like a collective thing throughout the years, because for me personally, I'm not a person that will plan ahead like 5 years in the goal, because some would have, like before they even entered medical school, they would know, okay, I want to become a surgeon, that kind of stuff. But even until now, if you ask me, okay, what going to specialize, or I just want to finish my exams, man. So like it's just like
fair enough.
at the moment kind of thing. So whatever for me, that's usually how I work lah. So I handle one thing at a time. So I didn't have any expectation much coming into, but of course there's this excitement of coming into medicine and stuff. But the moment I usually felt like, okay, this is where I belong, or this is where I should be here, is when you really interact with your patients. Because I really cannot imagine myself, sitting at a computer kind of job. Well, I'm not saying that job is not meant for everyone. It is, some people really thrive in that kind of environment. But for me, I'm not saying you do expect doctors to be sitting in front of the lectures too, because you have to type in your notes and stuff. So, but then that's the interaction, the human interaction that I have collectively throughout the years that have helped me, decide, okay, really, I cannot go anywhere else other than this. So it's that human interaction, talking to people, how they thank you back, because most patients are actually quite polite here. I mean, if you approach them the right way, just imagine yourself as a patient, then you'll treat them as how you want to be treated, basically. So when you have that nice interaction with the patient, that's quite enough already for you to feel, okay, I belong here, okay, I'm meant for this kind of stuff lah. Okay?
Wow. Okay. It's great.
What was the question again?
Like, what one moment in your ward that made you go like, okay, I choose the right career?
The moment in the ward.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be in ward, but generally, what
It's a moment where I feel like I am in the right career.
Exactly.
Okay. It's a really hard question, honestly. There is no like exact moment where you feel like, you know what, this is the right career for me, this is what I want, this is what I need, It's more like, it's relapses, sometimes you feel like, oh, I chose the wrong thing. Sometimes, certain days you feel like, this is what I want, But sometimes it changes, it's cyclical. But if you want to know like why you want to choose medic, or like the reason and why this career is for you, it's most of the reason that people say is, in the end, like 4th year, 5th year, it's already too late to back out anywhere else. So might as well go through it. But in the end, I do want to be here, If you ask any medical student or doctors, they want to be there, even though how bad it is, how much struggle, how emotional damage, how mental toll takes upon you, but you still want this, in the end. Even though like in shows, in US drama, like even though they get scolded by the doctor doing something wrong, it's like, I want to be here. I want to help. I want to treat people. That's what they want, And for me, why do I feel like this is the right career? It's just, imagine yourself taking any other course than this. You think you can survive in any other course? Because this is what we do, is science. Now our mindset is set to like STEM field, where we think logically, we think interpretation, hypothesis, probability. That's us, we're like, not to say to put an egotistic mind or like perspective on medical student, but we are like straight A students, we are the smartest. The requirement to enter medic itself is quite high. You need a CGPA of like 3.5 or 3.75, I'm not sure. But yeah, we are set like that, we follow rules. Other people have different perspective, that's why other people are in different sectors, that's different courses. So you really need to know yourself well to know what you want. People say like, oh, the journey to find yourself kind of thing. It's just more of your mindset. What do you want in life? Do you believe that this is right for you? The question that you ask yourself, that what you want in life, is this actually what you want? And for me, this is what I want. I want to meet people, I like to talk to people, I like to make people happy, treat people as a whole. There's people say, there's sayings that you don't treat the diagnosis, you treat the patient. There's a lot of doctors said that actually, which is true. You're not treating them as case by case, like, oh, this is a pneumonia case, this is a meningitis case. You treat the person, how they're feeling. You ask them in the ward, be empathetic as a good doctor, So yeah, for me, I want to do that. I like learning about people, gaining perspective from their life, because everyone is different. Everyone has their own individuality. I just love hearing their stories, hearing that how different our worlds are, and getting like more exposure and perspective into their lives. It's like human are like EXP books. And you just gain experience from other people by just listening to their stories. You get what I mean? Yeah. It's fun. It's really fun. Yeah, that's it.
Oh wow. I mean, Haris, listening both of them speaking about their experience, quite inspiring to me, Wow. But I'm sure like every ups there must be like downs, for the opposite. So like what Chaganana told is now, he got roasted. So what about you, Haris? Have you like got scolded or roasted in your ward? I mean, surely you have like many
Most memorable one. Okay, I just like to point out the contrast between me and Shagan. We're just very different people, I feel, right? In terms of like the way we talk, the way we study, is completely different. I mean, I have to repeat a year. He's up to date right now.
I've passed.
Exactly. Not saying that to put you on a pedestal or anything. But in terms of like getting scolded, yes, multiple times. Can we talk? Yeah, I mean, like in terms of hosting, every doctor is different, But honestly, at the end of the day, I understand why I get scolded, Like you get mad, like what is this? You're getting scolded, and then you be sad, you go back home, and then you feel bad about yourself. But honestly, multiple times I get scolded, but to me it's just a learning experience, They want us to learn. Actually, all the lecturers are actually great people. They are great doctors. They have intentions to teach us actually, and they actually care about us a lot. In spite of like them scolding you a lot, they have reason behind that, So we can't really be mad of getting scolded other than just to pick ourselves up the next day. Because imagine you're getting scolded in like 10 p.m. on an on-call, and then you're so tired, you went back and you need to be there by 8 a.m. the next day, preparing scripts for on-call, let's say ONG, just for example. There's no time to recruit or like to mentally, or a good environment to mentally reclaim yourself, You just have to keep going. That's the sad part of the reality. There is no time. We don't have time. Like even though like an exam, next thing another exam, in 2 months another exam. So there's really no time to be sad in terms of getting scolded. Getting scolded is normal actually. get called a lot of stuff, and your even your imagination can't think of the scolding that we get sometimes. It's hard, but you need to take it in a good light, I feel. What do you think, Shagun?
For me, I agree lah with what Hari said. I mean, it's a very stressful field. As if like you're dealing with life and death every day. I mean, us as students, we are not there yet lah. We are still interacting with patients, and then we are like one step ahead in handling patients. So when it comes to the discipline, it should be there lah. So when there's some lacking from your side, I mean, of course you'll be commented or scrutinized for that lah. But I mean, for us to say, oh, you don't have to feel sad, that's just normal. It's just as normalizing. You getting scolded lah. But I mean, the feeling that you had at the time is valid. I mean, you can feel sad, you can feel angry. I mean, you can feel, you want to. I mean, sometimes we do feel mad at the doctors also.
Exactly.
I mean, we are humans. Even as doctors, one moment they are telling, they are giving comments to us, but the next moment they are being commented as well in the wards, because they also have their own hierarchy, right? As a specialist, as a consultant and everything, so they are being pressured as well, like in various levels. So that's common, but whatever feeling that you have at the moment is also valid. So you do feel mad, it's okay, but how do you channel that whatever feeling that you have afterwards changes you from what kind of person, what kind of doctor that you want to be. If you just keep on feeling sad, you want to keep on lock yourself for a few days, I mean, that's counterproductive lah, I would say. You're not making any good to yourself and also to your patients as well. For me, if you ask me there were every day is a challenge also lah for all of us to dodge ourselves on how to avoid being scolded, how to avoid being scrutinized and everything. But for me, one encounter that I clearly remember of being literally scolded in front of everyone was during one of the postings. One of the stressful postings. And then we are expected to do on call. So our on calls are usually from 8 to 10 lah. If it's on weekdays, so it's 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. Sometimes you can go over that lah, so 12, maybe 1 if the patient is still there. So sometimes the patients are okay until you come back to your room, and then maybe something has happened overnight, at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So you have no idea of what happened in the hospital. But the next morning you're expected to come back again and review your patients, and then present back the case to the whatever team that's taking over the next day lah. So that's what even as doctors they are practicing. So we are, as medical students, are also expected to do that. But during one of the posting, maybe it was just my first encounter to that kind of situation, so I didn't really know that I had to check back on my patient early morning. So so I just left it like that lah. So I didn't go and check back on my patient. So the next morning when the doctor asked me, I was like, oh sorry doctor, we went back after on call, so we didn't check back on the patient. So that was, at that moment I felt like what I did was natural lah, because I only expected to be there until 10. So whatever happens afterwards is kind of not my problem, I guess. But then I learned it the hard way that it shouldn't be like that lah. Your patient is why you are basically there as a medical professional. So when that kind of situation happens, so you don't assume that someone else comes in and takes your patient. So if you have been handling that patient, you have to handle it until the end lah. So yeah, that's one of the scenarios that I really, even until now, even if I already passed that posting already, so so that helped me lah to keep in my mind that I shouldn't be repeating that mistake again.
Oh wow, there is some mistakes.
Well, that's quite stressful yet interesting to hear. So talking about all this stress, how do you deal your stress and your life?
Dealing with stress.
Yeah. It's probably top one topic for medical student.
Yeah. How do you
How do you deal with stress?
Exactly.
Everyone has their own ways lah, different ways. Yeah. Mine actually varies actually. I mean, it's not always the same thing. But mostly it's just sleep, man. So I mean, sometimes when you're too stressed, for me lah, I'll just go and sleep, and then after I wake up, I mean, during that sleep is the only time I don't have to really think about anything at the time. So then after I wake up, I have to deal with whatever I have to deal lah. But I mean, sleep is one thing. Do get enough sleep, guys. So I mean, in med school, that's one thing that always the stereotype is, oh, you don't get enough sleep and everything. But my honest thing is, you really need good sleep for you to function well. Even if you have studied how much also, even if you go for exam, I mean, some people do thrive like without lack of sleep. I mean, with the lack of sleep lah. For me personally, I really can't. No matter how much I study also, I need that 6 hours or 7 hours of sleep. So that's I mean, not on a daily basis lah. I mean, sometimes it's just 5 hours, 4 hours like that. But then, but I do have to, you know, balance it lah. So maybe sleep is one thing, how I manage my stress. And the second thing is, I do feel talking to people helps a lot, you know, because every day you see different patients, you see different scenarios, or you're being scolded for various reasons. And then when you come back, you have someone like, you know, your friend or your family or whatever support system you have. So it's good to, you know, tell them what happened. I mean, not on a daily basis, but at least like you want to, you know, tell back whatever experiences that they had. So it's just like gets it out of your system, so that you don't have to, you know, keep it to yourself and then, you know, share it to others. So that's one of the ways like I usually come back, and it also helps the others also, like for example my friends, and also vice versa, because when I tell them these kind of scenarios, they know, okay, then I should be avoiding this kind of stuff lah, you know, so that it doesn't happen to me.
Actually giving advice to them.
Yeah, kind of in a way like how friends talk to each other lah. Kan, oh, aku tengok patient ni bro, patient ni dia marah dengan especially sebab tak mention pasal this history. Then you know the next time you want to cut the kind of patient, you have to, okay, I have to keep in mind this person was being scolded because this wasn't mentioned. So I have to, you know, update myself like that lah. Most of the thing comes from experiences actually. You learn a lot from people's experience. So talk to people. You know, don't lock yourself in rooms, and then you know they call it locked in and study. I mean, that's for your focus lah. But then I mean, even if you as a person, if you're a person that you have to study alone, is fine. But then you still need your connections with your friends lah. Okay, whatever happening in the surrounding world.
What about you, Aris?
Stress?
Yeah. How do you manage it?
Stress.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, a lot of other people have different ways. Everyone is according to their own. But I feel like the key is just to do things that makes you happy. Just do things that makes you happy. Whether it's hobbies, interests, talking to people, having a support system, spending time with your family if a person is a family person, you know, go out, have fun. Or someone who has a girlfriend or boyfriend in a relationship, go out, have dates. But yeah, just do whatever you like to do. What makes me happy, even in between my morning and evening classes, I'll just, you know, have a good meal, watch some animes, or even in the evening. Exercise is very important, guys. So I know a lot of people don't do sports or don't do exercise, but even like a walk around college helps a lot. Just get oxygen, get some sunlight. Even like during like perkampungan days, like before pro, where you locked in the room, where you don't go out, marinate yourself, order Grab every day, you just feel bad. You just need to go out, get oxygen, see people, and just eat well. Sleep, eat, and exercise. I feel like that helps a lot with stress. I mean, exercise is not really required, but you'll feel better. For me, at least.
I agree with the exercise part.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, it reduces excess stress. Even like psychiatry, even we advocate non-pharmacological management is to go exercise. Even cardiovascular, asthma is to go exercise. Exercise is a lot of benefit. We talk about exercise now, but either way, just do whatever that makes you happy. Whether it's watching K-dramas, watching drama, watching movies, going out for a good lunch with your schoolmates, your previous, have a reunion. just talk it out to other people. You know, don't keep things to yourself. Have friends, have families. Just know that you're not alone in this in this journey of like being a doctor. Yeah, that's about it for stress.
That's a good point. Not being alone, especially with human interaction.
True.
But have you had like heavy cases, like emotionally heavy cases, like end of life or pediatrics and something like that?
I mean, of course, we are introduced to a lot of different posting, and one is hospice. If you guys don't know what hospice is, it's palliative care for terminally ill patient, like stage 4 cancer most of the time. So we see people dying in front of our eyes. We go visit them to their houses, a home visit to look at these people to prescribe them with any energy cell symptomatic relief for these patients. So you can actually see people dying, and I've seen a patient die in the ward, die at home. It's a very heavy emotional thing to go through, especially when you're a doctor. We get to be thick skinned, people say, you know, we don't have emotions because we see this every single day. Most of the time, even you can see one a day, not exaggerating now, but if you're in a ward, you're taking care of a ward, people die in ward every day. And it's just the balance of life and death. You need to understand that that's a part of life, you know. And of course, you see, even this one experience in emergency during this time, I saw this one girl just running out, like crying, and then talking to what it seems to be her mom, and running back to the patient, and then the emergency doctor is like, oh yeah, the patient has died. So it's very heavy to see these family members having these very emotional feelings, and at the same time, if that was your patient, in the future, let's say, you're gonna feel really guilty about it because it could be your fault at the same time. And then you go to your medical legal cases when a death happens, and then the next day, you still have to be at the hospital at 6 as a HO. So it takes, like I said, there's no time or environment to recoup yourself or like get a holiday or some sort, because we're very heavily understaffed and we constantly have to do all this thing consecutively, because we can't afford another person to die if we slip up and suddenly be sad and just let go of all the other patient. Then what's gonna happen next? Like 5-6 patients gonna die the next day? So in terms of dealing with death, yes, it's heavy, but it's a balance of still preserving your empathy, at the same time to know what's objective. What is objective? How do we treat this patient? How to avoid death to begin with? And then at the same time try to recoup yourself from this emotional damage that you receive seeing a patient die. And explaining to the family members as well is another thing. Breaking bad news is always not fun. Even like cancer, let's say you went through a scan and then boom, stage 4 cancer. What you're gonna tell the patient? You have to tell the patient. It's about breaking bad news, and there's a lot of emotional dependency when it comes to this field, and you need to be emotionally mature, know what you're feeling, how to control that and how to handle that at the same time. Exactly. So what do you think, Shagan, like emotionally?
I like the word when he used emotionally mature lah. Okay, because when you deal with this kind of cases, right, like heavy cases or even kids, because sometimes even if they are in the last stage also, even if you see that kind of patients, sometimes they are the happiest people that you've ever seen, because they know that their life is going to end soon and they are savoring every moment that they're having, which I think is something all of us should be learning from them as well lah. Because we ourselves, we don't know how long we have in this world, but then we are not that grateful for what we're having, right? But when you see that kind of patients, they are very happy. They are talking to you. When you talk to them, they are like very appreciative of the conversation that you're having with them. So that kind of things, that when you see them, you don't really have to focus that part that much to them. You just treat them as a normal human being. You talk to them, you don't even have to talk to them about the medical issue itself. You just tanya, cik semua okay kat rumah, okay? Oh, cik buat apa, like when you are, in your free time. So that kind of, sometimes they're interested to talk, other than because they've been hearing about their medical problem on and on and on. So now something different. I mean, now as a medical student, you'll have that time lah. But when you're working, maybe you don't have that much of time. But then you still need that human interaction treat them as a human. You don't treat them like a textbook or like a case. But usually we do, like sometimes refer to them, oh, ada case pneumonia dekat ward. So I mean, okay, but they are still human. So you don't just, you know, it's a human pneumonia patient. That's like Pakcik Ali or something, Pakcik Mutu or whatever. So treat them like patients and humans, and you know, this kind of emotionally heavy cases, like I said, you take the good points from them, and then emotionally mature, talking about emotionally mature, most of the times when you look at doctors, it's not that they're not having any feelings of sadness. And when you see their patient, memang they will, like, you know, they will put up a very strong face thick face in front of the patients. But then deep down they are feeling empathetic to the patient. When they are talking to the patient, they are very careful whatever words that they are saying. So that comes with practice lah. That comes with experience. So I think that's something that all of us should, you know, learn how to develop throughout the years. I mean, so when handling this kind of heavy, you know, life and death kind of cases.
I feel like on top of that as well, like we as medical students, we also can give a role in the ward. Like even though like they feel neglected, some of the patient likes talking to us. You know, it takes their mind off like being in the ward the whole day and just nurses coming back and forth to take BP, to take glucose. You being there makes their day, sorta. If they're happy with it, if they're not, then yeah, it doesn't make it them worse.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, I've had this one case as well, pediatric. I forgot to talk about pediatrics. There's this one mother with a Down syndrome baby and 3 other childrens, and her husband passed away in previous year, and now like opening a business and depending on like financial help from zakat and things. She cried in the word talking about it. Now I cried in the word hearing about it, seeing this patient and seeing the mother, how their finance, how their social problems actually affect them as well. So we're not just looking in a medical view in terms of finance, in terms of their mental health, their social, how their support system is. It's a lot, you know, there's a lot to cover. There's treating the patient as a whole, as we like to call it. Yeah, that's like emotionally heavy stuff. So it's gonna be okay, I feel. Yeah.
It'll be fun. I mean, fun when you're
what's life without sadness? What's life without having bad news? If you're just expecting all good news, then true. It's the reality, you know. Just gotta accept the way it is.
Well, that was quite intense. Quite intense. Wow. I mean, hearing all the sad news and all.
Yeah.
Quite emotionally taxing, I would say. But speaking of experience, like has like experience changed your personality? Like have you become someone new from preclinical?
Definitely.
Oh, definitely. How so?
Wanna go? For me, in terms, like I said, I've always been interested in learning about humans itself. So when I was in 3rd year and I realized how much interaction you actually need entering clinical, you need to have good social interactive skills, like your soft skills, not just book smart, but to make yourself better in terms of like talking to them, making people feel good. And in terms of like, for me, I actually went out of my way to be more exposed. I went on volunteering works, went for jobs, so to get used to like talking to people. I worked as a catering job, worked at restaurants as a waiter. So that actually helped me a lot in terms of medical school as well, because I always wanted to learn like Mandarin and Tamil for like language barrier in terms of like patients, because sometimes we need to call other people to explain or translate for us. But yeah, it changed the way you are. It changed because you meet a lot of people, and people tend to change influenced by other people, and we're just exposed to everyone in the ward, so it's all kind of people from different background, and of course their perspective is going to break your perspective, because your perspective is in this environment of being a medical student, being raised from a good household or some sort of household. But yeah, when you hear these people, you will realize that, oh, my perspective is not the same as theirs. So it's definitely going to change you one way or another, you know? That's what I feel. What do you think?
In terms of personality change, since we are in the topic of clinical years, so transitioning from pre-clinicals to clinicals, I mean there's been drastic changes actually. But in terms of externally, maybe it's not that prominent, but internally, in terms of the way you think changes a lot. Because during pre-clinicals, you're expected, the theory knowledge should be on point, your exam should be, you should be performing like very well in your exam in order for you to, get your collective marks, and then your CA, and then your finals, right?
Yeah.
So it will help that way. But when you are in clinicals, you have to accept that there are things that you don't know. Okay, you can't really know everything. You can't really be a know-it-all lah. They call it like everything. You can't even really know everything, because the thing is, everything is evolving, continuously changing. So one thing that we learn in your third year might not be relevant during your fifth year. So there are things really changing quite fast. And then just expect yourself, if you have done pre-clinicals like 10 years ago, and the changes now would be very, very drastic lah. So you have to expect for you to not know some things. So that's one of the things I learned lah. Because in pre-clinicals, you're expected, you have to know the lecture from A to Z, everything. Even in clinicals, you do have lectures, you have lecture notes, you have some BST and everything. But when you even go through everything from page to page and everything, you still may not know what the doctor is asking you.
Yeah.
You can't even understand the question sometimes, because that's that much of lack of knowledge that we have. So you really have to accept it and be humble about it lah. And then another thing is the change is being more open to criticism. During pre-clinicals, maybe you might feel like, I've studied all this, and so I should be knowing this. So whenever someone corrects you, you can go back to your reference saying, no, this is where I studied. So you can pinpoint to that level. But when you're in clinicals, you will receive criticism literally from everyone. Everyone meaning your consultant, your specialist, your HO, your MO, sometimes even the nurses. Even nurses, and also even your own peers lah. So it's not that you cannot compare yourself. I'm in the medical field right now, I'm going to be a doctor, so whatever I say is the rule. So even nurses, sometimes when they correct you, they know because they have experienced it before. So when they say adik tak boleh buat macam ni, you need to be like this, so you take that as a point, and then you learn from it. So being open to criticism is something that I've quite changed myself from before to now lah. I think there's a lot juga lah, but I mean there's a lot of changes, but to name a few is kind of stuff lah.
Well, in the end, it boils down to experience. Well, that's quite interesting. Speaking about that, what was the most fun posting you had?
Fun posting.
Yeah, let's change a bit. It's a bit.
Yeah, it sounds a bit depressing.
Fun posting for me, like I would divide it two ways. One could be in terms of learning fun, and another is like actual fun, like experience fun. So in terms of learning fun, I would say I really like internal medicine. So because for me lah, because the moment I entered surgical, I know already, it's a bit hard for me to grasp that field, but it's quite interesting as well for surgical. But internal medicine is more broader, and then you get to connect the pieces. It's like a jigsaw puzzle when you actually club the patient, put everything together to a diagnosis. So I really like that part of in terms of learning internal medicine. But in terms of fun, I really enjoy my combat posting. But community medicine, we have this thing called community medicine posting, because and for my group, we were we finished all our major postings, and then we had our combat posting at last. So group A lah, I was in group A, and then we finished last with combat. Combat is basically you just go to one kampung for 6 weeks, you stay there, and then you get to do activities there lah. You get to go, I don't know, we went forest to collect all the water samples lah, and then we went into Sungai, and then we went to some old folks home. So it's very random. It's like you will act, as if you've never been to a hospital, because you rarely go to the hospital, you go to the community more. So which I liked it because you'll be out of the wards, you know, no one will recognize you as a medical student pun like it's very you know, you get to interact. That interaction was even more different because you like literally go into other people's home and then like we want to ask you questions, and then so they some even invited us into their house, gave us kuih, bagi air semua, and then they like bagi dapat durian semua. So that's, you won't get that. Maybe in ward, maybe they'll just give you ada buah ni, ada buah boleh lah makan. Maybe things like that. But then like community medicine, you really get to go to people's house, see how they live. So that was quite fun lah. And then along with it, we did other stuff, you know, barbecue with our friends, and then go mandi sungai lah, apa lah. Then you know, some other stuff also lah. So yeah, that was fun.
What is fun? You know, it's very subjective. Fun. I feel like learning fun. I like forensic. Forensic is fun.
Ooh.
Forensic is as, you know, you go into the morgue and then you see like a dead person from an accident, a motor vehicle accident. The other day I saw this kid, 7 years old, fell down from the 29th floor. That was a bit crazy, yeah. But you know, it's fun in terms of like learning what to do after. You know, all doctors are mandatory to know how to perform postmortem, no matter where you are. So HO, you are mandated to know.
Because if you're in a district hospital, like you're thrown somewhere like very district, if you're the EDMO, you are expected to perform the
Postmortem.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
That's good.
That's kind of fun. In terms of like fun, I don't know, man. I don't think that's fun.
So you did enjoy your combat, I assume?
Combat, you just get thrown away at a remote place, so you're away from the city. So someone who is like want to go shopping mall or want to go movies or want to eat good food, yeah, that's not the place. With no internet, nah. There's pros and cons, you know, to comment. Next question, please. I don't have anything else to say. Posting.
Yeah, I mean, people like to listen teas, you know, talk about teas. You know, what about like the teas in the ward? Like, let's start with what's the weirdest thing a patient has said to you? Yeah.
Skytree is always fun. Skytree, like, you know, weird things they would say like schizo patient, bipolar patient, you know. Literally during my exam, during psychiatry, there's this one Chinese uncle which is so famous to not understand what he says. You know, it's very hard for him to pronounce certain things, and for me listening to him, he said like, oh, there's voices that goes gong gong gong. I was like, what? What do you mean gong gong gong? And then apparently I thought about it, it's like, oh, macam anjing, because you know Chinese sometimes says that barking like gong gong.
Okay, I see.
So now I understand. I was like, huh? Like in the middle of an exam, like 30 minutes time span, I was like, what? That's one. And then another weird experience, I remember during my 3rd year, there's this one patient that got really aggressive. We were the doctor fighting against the surgeons, and we had to activate code grey because the patient wanted to run from the hospital, like in the gown, running. Code grey basically is a patient being aggressive towards healthcare providers.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of code blue, code purple, code grey.
You gotta get physical with them, no?
No, I mean security guards is supposed to go and restrain him somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, and then psychiatry in Kajang ward, it's a mental ward, so yeah, it's exactly how you imagine it to be.
They will put you inside the ward and lock you up inside.
Yeah, there's like drills, like a prison.
Wow. Okay.
It's interesting when you see in 4th year entering psychiatry. Yeah.
Oh, you know.
For me also, I mean, everyone, I think most of us will have weird interactions during psychiatry posting lah. It's
Yeah.
actually a very delicate posting because you have to talk. It requires a lot of talking lah, basically. So when you talk with people, you'll hear all sorts of weird stories from them, especially if they're having, you know, underlying psychotic disorders, you know, psychotic meaning like schizophrenia and diseases lah. So that kind of interactions really, you know, changes your perspective of, you know, whether you are really suited for the kind of posting or not lah. Because it really takes a toll on your mental health also sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, because you hear the kind of very weird stuff, and then you really have to process it. For me, for me, I didn't have that very bizarre kind of story. It's just that one patient was actively hallucinating when I was talking to him, and then he suddenly told me like, shh, then asked me to just shush, and then just like, someone is walking. So I was like, at the moment I was like, okay. Then he asked me, you ada nampak tak? Then I say like, sorry cik, saya tak nampak apa-apa. Then it's like, oh okay. Then he just jammed just like that for a while. Then he like, apa? Then he sambung balik. Then I was like, that was very, that's the psychopathology that we say the patient is having active hallucination. So that's a very weird thing. Like face to face, you're handling that kind of stuff.
Don't you get like freaked out when
I was super freaked out that time because just imagine. It's like some more psychiatry wards. It's like one whole big room. Once you enter, they will literally lock the room. So you cannot. You have to go to the door, and someone must open the door from the other side. So you're just left there, but then there'll be guards also so you don't have to worry that much. But then that's quite the first time for me to experience that kind of stuff. So I was really like, but I had my friends together. They cannot enter like alone there. So each of us like looked at each other, and I was like, okay, this is something.
Want to hear something more extreme? There's cases where people got pulled before. There's flashing of certain external genitalia in the ward. And I have this one T from the ONG department during Serdang. I found this 16 years old pregnant for 4 months, and when I talked to her, she's a kid, like literally a kid, 14 or 15, I don't remember. It's really young. And then she was pregnant, and like how many weeks? So I asked her like, so who's the father? And I thought that some puppy love boyfriend. No, it was her grandfather. And then she went on like a sex spree, and she doesn't know who the father is, but her parents abandoned her, and now she's staying with her grandfather, where her grandfather did to her. And then she got hooked on sex, and she went on a spree with other 18 plus men. So I was like,
So that kind of story sometimes very quite sad
exactly. So it's crazy what you can see in the word, but you just have to keep an open mind, no judgment, and just understand where they are mentally and physically with the diagnosis. It changes the perspective of like how you treat a patient when you understand the background of the story. So keep your mind, keep an open mind, and you will find a lot of things out there, and that would surprise you or weird yourself out. But it's important not to judge our patient for who they are and accept them how they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was deep.
Again, I just can't get my
from the most weirdest to deepest.
yeah. It's a lot you can learn from like your experience in the ward.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, have you all like not slept for like days to have like
Not slept for days.
like days or maybe like hours?
It's always the night before the exam that I can't sleep. You're just trying to recall as much as you can, and then when you don't remember, then you're gonna, what was it? Then you're gonna open back your books, and then like, wait, and then the next day it's just something. It's random. It could be anything in your clinical years. You know how your clinical years are. They give you one case, and you don't know what it will be. It could be anything, especially in 5th year, we give much more complicated case compared to 4th year. So you just gotta be prepared for anything. So there's certain times you can't even sleep thinking about like trying to recall this disease, this system. And it's impossible to recall everything. So the anxiety and stress is real, and like sleepless days, not really. Like you can time manage well. That's why time management is really important as a medical student too. You need your sleep, or not your brain would not function. As like Shagan said,
I think I already told my earlier point itself. For me, in order for me to function well, I do need sleep. If not, the
Yeah.
whole day I'll be tearing myself. Tears will start coming by itself. For me, lah, personally, that's how.
So body crying.
Yeah, my body will compensate that way.
Yeah.
So I really need at least like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. But then there were days like I really couldn't sleep because like the next morning I have to be doing something like Passover or anything. So I'll be coming back from the ward maybe like 11 a.m. 11 p.m. sorry 11 p.m. 11:30 like that. Then I have to come back, bathe, eat, and then I have to sit down and do the work I have to do for the next day. Check everything. Sometimes the whatever information that I need haven't been updated yet. So then I have to wait maybe until like 12:31. Then I have to go back to sleep. Then I have to wake up early in the morning again to check back. Oh, the update curve. Then if not updated, then I have to run back to the ward and see the patient early morning. Like 6:30 or 7. So that thing sometimes throws off your biological clock sometimes. But it never happened for me for consecutive days lah. Maybe like 1 or 2 days. But then yeah, it will affect your sleep schedule a bit lah. But do get enough sleep, guys. That's for you to function well, even if you know all that you studied, you completed your whatever target that you want to finish, but your brain is sleep deprived, the moment you see the question or whatever that you want to answer, you'll have like one mind block. Mental block, yeah. So yeah, that's scientifically proven also. Your sleep is needed. So and whatever method you want to keep yourself to sleep, avoid coffee. Some people will be driven on coffee also.
Yeah.
So can whatever works for you, but do get enough sleep lah.
So sleep is the key to success.
Not really.
Okay. Alright. So let's say you walk into your ward and then you see your specialist. What's your internal monologue? What are you thinking at that moment?
Especially depends on lectures. Some of them are really nice. Sometimes I see them as like, yay, we're gonna learn today. You're gonna teach us, blah blah. But some is like, whoa, everyone battle station ready. Everyone, where's your patient? Which one did you clerk? Who are you covering? Who are you covering for the patient in the ward? Because if there's the specialist come, that means it's ward round time. That's it. When it's ward round time, some of the doctors expect all the medical students to present and cover each patient. So if you're not ready and there's a patient that is not covered, then you have to do something about it. You've got to go and ask them and cover the patient to present during ward rounds. So it depends on which posting you are and which consultant you're meeting. Some of them are really nice, like, oh, let's have a class, sometimes, you can go to them and ask questions, something that you're unsure of, a case that you see in that day. They're really helpful sometimes, but yeah, depends. The answer depends. Answer depends.
Depends on which specialist is there, which MO is there. But then we cannot really, point them like, okay, this is how they will be for the whole time.
Exactly.
Because each day we are also human. Sometimes they are having a good day or bad day. So sometimes even the nicest lecturer might be having a bad day, and then you go and do something, some mistake in front of them, then it'll be like your worst day as well. So you have to be treat them equally. But I also had the instances of meeting some specialists that are really scared for my life, and then like once I saw them,
that's a good day.
yeah, it's just not my day. So and then I see them and then I just go like, then I suddenly like started doing other stuff like doing buat busy sekejap, and then to just avoid them seeing me not doing anything. Usually we'll be there clerking patients, we'll be sitting and discussing, but they want us to be like at the patient's bedside and then examining them like all the time. So sometimes it's not feasible pun. We'll be sitting and then we'll be discussing pun, we'll be checking the system for updates of the lab and everything. So when that kind of stuff happens, you really get ready lah, for whatever to happen. Sometimes like what I say, you have to be ready to cover your patients prior to the specialist to come. So sometimes you'll be checking the on-call list or the ward round rates or ward round hari ni. So the expectation changes actually. Some doctors will expect this way, some doctors will expect that way. So also another key point in clinical years and handling your patients is to go with the flow of that particular doctor that you're dealing with. That's a very key thing lah, because you cannot be the same with everyone. Some people will expect you to do this kind of level of stuff, some will only expect you to do minimal stuff. So you have to, you know, play according to their rules lah. So you have to know their rules first lah, and you know what they want you to do.
So that's a pro tip.
Yeah,
To know the
definitely,
rules, yeah.
definitely.
Strategize, plan,
Wow.
teamwork is
Even
very
for
important
posting
as
the
well.
strategy, you know?
Each posting, different expectation. Each lecture in that posting, different expectation.
Different years as well, different
Years.
expectation as
Your
well.
third year is not same as your fifth year. Your third year maybe you're expected to cover history, physical examination should be on point lah. But when you're in your clinicals, you have to be more than that lah. You have to be at least know the principle of management of the patient, at least know more than what is expected lah than the third years. You cannot be the same level as your juniors. You have to, you know, step up a bit. But as as humans, we are also continuously learning.
Yeah.
So there'll be like the famous ni macam korang dah year 5 dah, ni tak tahu lagi ke. So that's
Yeah.
quite common lah. Even as year 3, every year that you'll hear the same thing, you know. Even I think if I were to become a lecturer pun, I might repeat the same thing to
Yeah.
my students as well, because that's normal lah. So you continuously learn and then go according to their expectation of the lecturers lah.
Well, what advice would you give to like the upcoming year 3s? Upcoming year 3s.
Upcoming year 3s, I mean, second years.
Those who
Yeah,
go
I'm
into
just gonna
clinical phase, you know.
Summarize for everyone now in third year, fourth year, people going to fifth year later. I mean, we're at the end, almost at the end.
Yeah.
So third years going to fourth years, you mean not the second years going to third years, right?
Second year.
Second years going to third
Yeah.
years. Third year is not gonna be that difficult because you have a wide time span. If you notice, our posting is shortened every year. For IM surgery for third year is 13 weeks. Basically, it's more than 3 months. For fourth year, 10 weeks max for each posting ONG PEDS. For fifth year, maximum is your IM, which is 8 weeks. So everything is gonna be concise, and more concise. And on top of that, higher expectation throughout each year. So clinical, preclinical to clinical is a huge jump. It's definitely a huge jump, and it's an introduction. So there's not much doctor expecting from you because you just came out from preclinical, right? But that's a basic minimum requirement for you to pass. Okay, for fourth year, it gets harder because fourth year is new things. It's things that you never learned in your preclinical, your ONG, your PEDS. There's no like specific module teaching that. IM surgery, they share the similar common in like all the systems, right? But in ONG PEDS is totally different. Pregnant woman and the children is not the same as an adult. Pathology is different entirely.
Completely.
Even psychiatry is something that you never learn in
Yeah.
preclinical. So that's going to be a huge jumping into fourth year as well. For fifth year, it just gets harder from there because the expectation as a HO level. You need to know how to prescribe, you need to know how many dose, you need to know what to do next, what's the next step, how to diagnose, what's all the symptoms, what's the first thing. That's emergency management and like normal pathology that you see at chronic condition. Emergency is something else, you need to be prepared. Because if you don't pass that, then you're not qualified as a safe doctor, because you're not able to save a patient. Basically, so the expectation for fifth year is much more higher than the previous years. And for second year to third year, just take your time, get used to the mindset of a clinical doctor or a clinical student because it's very different than your preclinical. You're thinking about your diagnosis, your investigation, your management. The structure itself is not like how your system modules are. It's very different. So brace yourself, whoever is in second year right now, going to third year, congratulations for pros later if you pass hopefully. And keep an open mind, be passionate in what you do and have fun, clinical years. It's a different thing, but I hope you guys like it because that is the reality of being in the medical profession, right? Yeah.
For me to add on, this one I usually tell my juniors all the time. I really tell them, you should help each other lah. You know, going even at preclinical level and also your clinical level, teamwork is really important. You can be one person that studies alone, but studying alone and being alone is different. You know, studying alone meaning you're in the space, you want a private space, and you want to sit alone and then you study, that is fine. But you still need that connection with other people, you know, for them to share their knowledge and for you to share back. You know, oftentimes in clinicals, what happens is that we know certain stuff and we try to, I'm not saying this happens consciously, but sometimes it happens unconsciously where we gatekeep some of the stuff that we know. Maybe because we are not confident that much in sharing to other people, maybe we might think that they might judge you for not knowing it fully. But then I always believe that one person's someone might think, oh lah ni senang je, ni biasa je, semua orang patut tahu.
Different levels.
But some people might be hearing it for the first time. So like one man's waist is someone's treasure, you know, they would say that, right? So some might think, alah ni semua orang tahu pun, ni basic je. But some might not even know that basic. So when you share the kind of stuff, you know, to other people, they will learn more. And you yourself, when you want to explain it to others, I think this is something, a basic rule lah. You know, you teach to other people, you will, you know,
learn
from
more
teaching
from
it.
other people. Yeah.
This has been known to everyone, but the only problem is sometimes we don't practice it because one, we are afraid of being judged by others, or maybe another thing that you like to compare. Oh, dia tak bagi pun apa-apa, he didn't help me pun, like why should be helping others? Kan? They kind of, sometimes we tend to become selfish as well lah. I'm not saying you have to be selfless or helping everyone all the time, you know, sending everything that you have, but you will be rewarded afterwards. You know, you will be rewarded in a sense that when you help others, your understanding might be much better, and even when you explain to patients, you know how to explain it in a very simple terms, okay, layman terms like we call it. So help each other, be supportive, you know, share as much as you can, okay? That's one thing. Another thing is try to learn from other people's experience lah. Talk to people, you know, not just your own peers. Talk to your seniors, you know, your first senior, your third year, your fourth year, fifth year seniors. Because when you talk to them, literally what you guys are going through is the things that we have already, you know, gone through the same part. Followed by whatever we've been through is the part that our seniors have been through. So I am honestly so grateful for all my seniors lah, I would say, because you know, without them we wouldn't be, you know, being here, you know, to this point. So they've really helped us a lot, and also to my juniors as well, because when we teach them as juniors, we also tend to, you know, strengthen our own knowledge back. When you know, when you go into new postings, you know, we teach them, you know, because we already gone through what, so we are going to just, you know, recall back and tell them whatever we have learned. So they are helping us in a way as well lah. So you learn from other people's experience. So that's another thing I would say to have a, tak kisahlah which year pun, preclinical, so year 3 or year 3, year 4, year 4, year 5, you know, learn from other people's experience. And another, this one also goes a long way lah, through even not just your medical school and further than that. Also we need to be humble juga lah, throughout everywhere. When we go, be humble, share with people, talk to people, but not in a condescending way. Even when you teach people, right, you don't teach it like as if that you know much and then that they don't know. You're just sharing. Macam we are talking right now, right? We're talking like in a very normal manner. That's how it should be lah, even when you're learning with your peers also. So studying alone is fine. You don't have to have like 10 people in one group studying together, because that never ends up being a good idea sometimes, because you'll be, you know, sembang benda lain je, bawang je most of the time. But when you have like sharing sessions like that, make it productive. Share whatever that you have, you know, share it with people, and you will be rewarded lah. Confirm you will, you know, even not now, you in your pro later ke, when you're CA, EOP nanti, you will see that difference. That's what I would say to my juniors lah.
I mean, since both of you are like going to graduate soon, like what kind of doctor do you like expecting yourself to be?
As in like what? Specialty ke or just like general? General lah. For me, to be honest, this is what everyone would say lah. But then that's actually the most important point put. You are studying not to become the greatest doctor of all time. Okay, you don't want to be like, you know, the best doctor, best surgeon ke apa. That might be a goal. But then the important thing is being a safe doctor lah. Okay, being a safe doctor is is as important, even not if more important than becoming the best doctor. You know, you can be safe. Being safe meaning treating patients as patients, and then not trying to minimize any blunder lah. Because having mistakes is normal, but then not repeating it. By not repeating it is one of the ways how we learn lah. So I would really want to become, try not to make any mistake, but of course there will be mistakes obviously, but then I really hope that it doesn't affect others that much, and then be a good doctor lah, help others, whatever answer that you said during your med school interview in the beginning, nak jadi, nak tolong orang lah. So try to at least make some justice to that lah, at least some percent to that.
What about you guys?
For me, there are certain doctors that I actually aspire to be. There's great example from our lecturers as well. And when you get to know them, you understand how much hardship they went through to be a specialist, and how hard it is, and how much resilience and passion that you need to reach to that level. It's really hard to be a specialist, that's for sure. But I aspire to be like them, a nice doctor who's kind, who can teach students well, someone who's nice to everyone, someone that everyone likes, It's just, even though on top of being stressed out by being a specialist and being a consultant, they're nice to other people, Some doctors are like specialists and like they're great and all, but sometimes the way they treat their patient is a bit different. Everyone is different in their own ways. But yeah, for me, the doctor I want to be is, people won't remember who you are or like what your name, what your face, or how you speak, but people will remember the way they feel when they're with you.
Wow.
You get what I mean?
That's it. Yeah.
So once you go to a doctor and then you feel like, oh, this doctor is really caring, this doctor actually wants to take care of me, they feel good about themselves. And I want to make people feel a certain way, like a good feeling when they go through a doctor like me, That's about it. I just don't want them to feel like they're not taken care of, Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. I mean, this is the last one, but if you had to sum up your med school journey in one sentence, what would it be?
One sentence.
Yeah, like one meaningful sentence. Your whole experience in med school journey. Like, since you all going to graduate soon, so
and for some reason I keep hearing this quote for this year, I don't know why, but it's completely true. Not to summarize my medical school journey, but in a whole, as the medical profession itself, life is a lifelong journey. Learning is a lifelong journey for us. If you think about it, there is no stop in learning in medicine. One thing after another. After medical school, you need to go to like these forums, you need to go to the CMEs, as a specialist, you need to learn more as a specialty, as a master program. And after that, you need to keep up with like latest CPGs, latest medication, because pharmaco companies just gonna push out more and more drugs, and it might be better and change the whole guideline entirely. What is now, 5 years previously, 10 years previously, is totally different.
wow.
Even like some of our consultants, they are older than HIV. HIV is something new in Malaysia. When you look back,
Wow.
there's gonna be a lot of new disease. There's gonna be a lot of new medicine, and that's why medicine is not the fact that maybe the generation or like is getting the doctor are being stricter with the younger generation, but the fact is medic is ever changing. There's more and more coming each year. So what 10 years before a medical student is not the same as the 10 years, like 10 years in the future medical student. Even now it feels already hard. I can't imagine how in 10 years it's gonna be. It's just much more info and it's all evidence based. There's more clinical trials being done, and then you need to apply that to your own practice as well, even as a HO or MO or a specialist. You need to keep learning. There is no stopping learning. It's not like one test is over and then the end, you know, you're just gonna be working after that and not learning. We're just gonna be constantly learning throughout life until you die, most possibly. So it's a lifelong journey in medicine. That's how I'll summarize it, at least.
Who are you?
For me, I would say to sum up my med school journey so far and also further going on, I would say I would sum it up as hardships and blessings lah. Okay, for me,
Well put.
I mean, hardships are, I mean, for any field, not just medical field as well. You can be in physics, you can be in, you know, astrology or whatever, astrophysics or whatever fields that you have been. There will be hardships, there will be struggles, but each of the hardship will come with certain blessing lah. Because blessing in the sense that you are learning something from it, you are helping others as well, and also you are doing good lah. We all of us, we really don't want to do anything bad. That's, I mean, as humans, hopefully we are thinking that way lah. You know, as humanity goes, doing
Ethics
good,
and
ethics
morals, at least.
is something that we want to do to others as well. So I would say hardships and blessings go hand in hand in med school. So whatever hardships that you have, just think that, I'm not saying you know, spreading toxic positivity that everything should be, you know, thought in a positive way. But you assume something as hardship, but at the same time think that something good will come out of it lah. Even if it's not now, in the acute period now, maybe in the long run, I mean like now, you will feel it like in the long term, it will, you know, be fruitful lah.
I would say it's very fulfilling being in medicine. It feels so as that it drains you out at the same time. So it's a blessing in disguise.
Right.
Would you say you feel satisfied?
Satisfying, of course.
Of course, okay.
I love being in here and honestly satisfied with myself, at least, right?
But still more room for improvement lah,
Of
obviously.
course, yes. There's always improvement.
Well, there was an inspirational talk that you two just gave. Like, I feel inspired right now. Like I can just blast through the med school journey. You know? Wow.
Hopefully, I wish best of luck.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank you Shagun and Haris.
Mm.
So now you guys
Q&A session.
will be provided a QR for feedback form, and you'll be given 3 minutes to answer the QR to the feedback form.
Feedback for.
Yeah.
Wait, they can still hear us? Can.
So I mean, what about the viewers? Do the viewers have any question they would love to ask to the year 5 here? Any anything interesting they would like to ask? That maybe like being missed out as the MC and the moderator. Is there any question? It seems like the year 5s are eager to answer anything. Especially Haris.
No question for you.
Well, it seems like no question, so...
Ada.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, there is a question.
Damn, so repeat. What's the question?
Okay, what's the question about? Yeah.
Just wrong.
Okay. Oh, dah boleh pula time. Okay. Okay. There's a question from Muhammad Afiq. What is one thing that you want us to learn in med school that will be super important in the future?
One thing you want to learn in med school, super important for the future. What else? So weak.
I think I've said it just now. Even if you go for, thank you for the question. Even if you go when you're in HO and MO and become specialist and everything, you will be put in various hospitals, various settings. Because even in hospitals, there's various settings. One can be in the city, one can be in rural areas, or KK. Okay, you can go anywhere and everywhere lah, basically. So even as medical students now, I think I told you just now, know what is expected of you at that particular setting. Meaning, if you go to a rural area, then if you are expected to, do more things than compared to in a city hospital, so you need to update yourself as much as quickly as possible lah. Even as medical students now, like I told you, every doctor has different expectation, and every posting has a different expectation of you. So once you enter there, you need to really know what is expected of you first. Where can you get this kind of information? Is one, through your seniors lah, basically. From whoever that already went through that part, you can ask them for advice. Then you go through whatever, you join the doctor's classes, then once you join, then you get to know, okay, this is what they expect of. Then the next step is to share to others. When to inform others, like, okay, this particular doctor expects this kind of stuff from you. So even if you fulfill all this itself, provided you also have good studies and you update your knowledge on that particular posting, you can actually survive that posting. Even as it shows, you are also given like 4 months per posting. So when you go to you will have tagging period and then you have the posting and all. So bila ada macam tu, you will be exposed to your seniors, even in your HO. You as a first poster, you'll be having like 6 poster there. So you can get their advice on how to navigate through that particular posting. So I think gaining knowledge from others and providing back to others is one thing that you can really learn now, so you can apply it until forever lah.
Wow, that was well said.
For me, just to put it short and simple, is don't be scared. I feel like I can see it a lot in people, especially like high achieving students, very smart students. They never failed. They never fail. They never feel that they're stupid, and that's where like being humble comes a long way. But don't be scared to try. Don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared in doing anything. Just be confident in yourself and try it out. It's normal to be scared of something new, especially going out of your comfort zone and trying new things. Oh, you want to insert an IV cannula, or you want to take blood pressure, or you want to take some puncture or do a new procedure. We all have to start from somewhere. We gotta start from A, and it's normal to be bad when you first start things off. There's a lot of people where they don't be good the first time you try, they just throw it out, you know. So it's important to try, important to ask questions, important to be there in the ward and present and be friends with nurses, be friends with doctors, and they will guide you if you want to learn. If you show that you want to learn, that's the only thing what the doctor wants actually. They want a student that is actively participating. They just hate that people sometimes like the students are missing, or that's like, oh GG. If they don't have a student in the ward, that's like no. But just don't be scared. Try more and have fun and laugh it off. Be your friends, do stupid, you know, it's fine. It's really fine, just don't be scared.
Enjoy your medical school as well. Don't
Yeah.
just in the hospitals all the time. You know, have fun.
Is it time? Is it time? I don't know what. Okay, bye.
Well, there's another one that just came in. So from MFS 17, alright,
Okay.
quite the odd username. So hello, a question for the respectful seniors. How do you balance your social and clinical life? For example, having a significant other, does it affect you guys?
Yo.
Very interesting question this individual asked.
I feel like I can see a lot of like other people having relationships in medic. It's either they're both medics, someone outside medic, someone far, someone from high school, someone from Asasi, you know, there's a lot of variation. But in terms of like balancing yourself with your significant others, there is a lot of stories where, you know, doctors actually have one of the highest divorce rates for professionalism, like in the professional field. And there's a valid reason because of that, because literally we don't have time. We're so busy studying all the time, and that's understandable, but it's more towards your time management. How do you balance with your studies? How do you balance your social life? It's time. For me, I feel like studying every day is something innate for us. It's our human nature. We need to study most of the time, and it's more about like consistency and using the time as much as possible and making time for other people, your family, your friends, your partners. So it's very important to delegate the time, because the only thing that we're chasing on is time. I feel like there's never enough time in this world. So having a significant other is not impossible, but it's gonna be hard, and you need a lot of reassurance. You need to talk to them. You need to make time for them. This goes with family as well, you know. With your parents, sometimes my parents get mad because I'm not going back home even though my house is like a few minutes away, and people outside the field is hard for them to understand that how critical time is for us and how much do we need to study, because they don't study as much, or like they don't understand how much work do we need to do in our day to day. So it's definitely a factor to consider when choosing a partner or having family members, and the key thing is just to communicate. Communication is always key. Just tell them, oh, I'm at a ward, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You don't want to keep them in the dark for so long. As I like, talk to people. They understand you, you understand them. It's a two-way communication.
Well, is this coming from experience?
Hey, I mean, it applies to everyone. I see other people, I've observed other people, they tell me about their experience as well, and I can adapt that to my life too. Yeah.
What about you, Shagan? Any?
For me, I would just
I mean, yeah.
I would just generalize by saying like maintaining relationship with your family,
Maintaining
your
relationship.
Playing
friends,
safe.
you know, with your significant other as well. It's what Haris said is true lah. Communication, you have to communicate, because in the field that we are here, of course there's a lot of sacrifices that we are about to do in terms of our time, in terms of our money, and also work stress. So there's a lot of sacrifices. So but some in our family or our friends group may not understand that because they are not particularly in that field. So by talking to them about whatever hardships that we're going through, at least like doesn't put them in the dark lah. At least they know what is happening. But when you're here, you have your own set of friends here, but so they go through the same thing as you, right? So they go through every single hardship similar to yours. So I would say, rather than just always keep studying, make memories lah. Go out and do stuff with them. For me, if honestly, if you ask me, whatever things after I leave my med school, the things I will remember is the things that I've done, crazy things or stupid stuff I've done with my friends. So that kind of things will last forever rather than whatever that we are studying. So, and that also helps you to balance your work-life balance lah. Because in the end of the day, if you keep just working, studying, and then like you're not going out, you're just being locked up, so like then your mental health gets deteriorated by that so severely. So you need to balance it. Try to at least lah, not like go out pun kena jaga juga. You don't just like abandon your studies and then you go out like during the peak hours, exam times, then you go out pun. You have to be smart lah. We are kind of becoming, I already feel that adulting is already there. So
It's knocking at the door.
You are transitioning from, some of you might be transitioning from high school, from foundation to your, from your med school right now. So you need to, take the responsibility lah well and also manage it.
Work-life balance for doctors is not great.
But yeah, it's quite difficult.
The reality is not that great.
But we try our best.
Try our best to make time.
Yeah.
There's always time.
There are always time, correct.
Well, memories, like they say, memories worth more than years. Like what Shagan has mentioned.
And that
That is-
wraps up
and
our
that wraps
clinical
up.
talk for
Yeah.
tonight.
Yay! Woo!
Shout out and thank you to Haris and Shagun for sharing their priceless experiences and wise words with us juniors. To everyone tuning in, I hope you got a clearer glimpse of what is waiting for us in the world and maybe even feel a bit more ready to face those clinical years head on. Keep the spirit alive, keep learning, and remember, med school may be tough, but so are you.
Yeah!
Thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. Till then, stay strong and good luck with your studies. Assalamualaikum and good night.
Yay!
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.